I recently checked out the 1979 miniseries Salem's Lot on Blu-ray from Warner Home Video. The miniseries is based on the Stephen King novel of the same name and was directed by the legendary Tobe Hooper of Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame. Watching this Blu-ray was the first time I'd seen this miniseries since I was a little kid. So how did it hold up? Well, let's find out. Oh, and I'd like to thank one of my subscribers, Jeremy, for recommending this review. It's been a long time coming. Salem's Lot tells the story of a small town in Maine that is slowly taken over by vampires. The ensemble group of characters is led by a novelist, Ben, who has returned to his hometown after many years. He's played by the late, great David Soul. Typical to Stephen King miniseries is, the characters are plentiful and include Ben's love interest, a young horror fan, a married couple having issues, the doctor, the sheriff. There's tons of characters here, many of which are played by familiar faces. Now looming over the story in the town is the mysterious Kurt Barlow, a businessman who has just moved into the creepy Marsden house with his business partner, Richard Straker. But soon after Ben arrives, strange things start happening. People are dying, getting sick, and turning into blood-sucking vampires. Salem's Lot originally aired on regular TV back in 1979. The 4-hour miniseries was a huge hit back in the day and is held in high regard now. But does it really deserve its status as a legendary horror classic? Absolutely. This is a fantastic miniseries. The cast is amazing. David Soul is excellent as our lead, as is everyone. And I really have to point out all of the people who appeared on the original Star Trek. David Soul, Julie Cobb, Alicia Cook Jr., Barbara Babcock, and Reggie Nalder. Pretty impressive. With the longer running time, the miniseries had a chance to really flesh out the many characters, and you really care about these people. I especially like the kind of nerdy and awkward horror fan, Mark. Lance Kerwin did a great job in the role, and actually passed away just last year. So many people in this series are no longer with us, sadly. Barlow's mysterious assistant, Straker, is suitably creepy, and when his true intentions are revealed, it's a great performance. Honestly, there isn't a weak link in the cast. Now let's talk about Kurt Barlow, the head vampire and the one wreaking havoc in the town. Barlow is portrayed as a feral, disgusting thing that really leaves an impression. Barlow's look was clearly inspired by the silent classic Nosferatu, and I just love it. Apparently in the original novel, Barlow is just a regular guy. I'm so glad they changed it for this adaptation. It's fascinating because Barlow actually isn't in the miniseries very much, but his presence is felt throughout. His evil has enveloped a small town, it's infected it, and it really permeates every frame. I just love it. Everything is brought together by Tobe Hooper's direction. He really delivers here, and keep in mind, this was made for regular TV in the 1970s. I was actually surprised they were able to get away with as much as they did. There are so many iconic horror scenes throughout this series. Now this right here gave so many people nightmares back in the day. It's classic stuff, and it still holds up. And I have to mention Barlow's lair, the Marsden house. I love how Ben actually came into town to write about this creepy house that he had an experience in when he was younger. Now of course it's inhabited by Barlow, but I like the idea that this house could be evil and almost lured Barlow there.
Can it be evil in its stone foundations, in its wooden beams, in the glass of its windows, in the plaster of its ceilings? Evil.
It's fascinating stuff and something that couldn't have properly been explored in a simple 2-hour movie. Speaking of the house, the inside is just disgusting. It's covered in mold and filth, with dead animals everywhere. You can practically smell it through your TV. This is honestly one of the best creepy house interiors I've ever seen. So, any issues? Well, the miniseries immediately starts off with a quick scene, then flashes back. I really don't think that opening scene needed to be there. Also, I would have liked to see Barlow featured a little more. Apparently he was in there more, but his scenes were trimmed. I understand holding back on the monster, but he was so damned imposing and evil. I just wanted more. But what we got was fantastic, and as I said, his essence is felt throughout the series. Also, I wish the final confrontation with Barlow was drawn out a little more. Things are resolved a little too quickly, I think. But those are small issues. This thing is a home run and is required viewing for horror fans. I've recently read some reviews saying that this miniseries is a bit slow, but I didn't see that at all. It takes its time with the characters and story, and with the way modern horror films are these days, I actually think that's a good thing. This Blu-ray was released in 2016, but man, the picture quality is fantastic. It looks brand new, and the beautiful lighting and sets really come through. Audio is a 2.0 mono track, and again, it sounds great. no issues. Special features are a little lacking. We get a commentary track from director Tobe Hooper and a trailer. That's it. I'm happy to have the commentary track, but this really just cries out for more special features. Also, apparently there was a re-edited version of this miniseries that was released in theaters overseas. Extra violence was added in and the running time was trimmed down. I'd love to see this alternate version included as an extra. They need to do a release that has that, the original unaltered miniseries, and a composite cut with the extra violence added back in. I'm really shocked this hasn't happened yet. There's so many fantastic Blu-ray labels out there right now, one of them really needs to get a hold of this and give us a fantastic special edition. But overall, this is a really nice release of a classic Stephen King adaptation, so definitely check this one out when you get a chance. It really is a classic.